Josh Appel's been with us since 3, getting ready to let him go for the weekend. But I'm going to ask you another Panthers question before we get out of here, or at least you get out of here for the hour. And I asked this to Moeller yesterday. So the Panthers now 3 straight trips to the Stanley Cup Finals. So can you pick one thing that you attribute it to? Is it an amalgamation of all of them? Because I gave Moeller the greatest assemblage of talent that South Florida hockey's ever seen, stellar goaltending from Sergei Bobrovsky, Paul Maurice's style of play, which you have been a big proponent of, Bill Zito taking big swings and hitting on all of them. Is there one thing that you say, here's why they're going to 3 Stanley Cup Finals in a row?
I think it's all of that. It's hard to pinpoint one thing because they've gotten so many contributions from so many different guys, and there are so many different moving parts to this that end up becoming a team that is on the current run that they're on. You know, you mentioned the big swings that Bill Zito has taken. I think just as important as the big swings are the under-the-radar moves that he's made to fill out this roster. Evan Rodriguez, 3 years, $3 million or whatever he's making. It's not a lot. And he's someone who's played on all 3 of the top lines, scored a big goal for the Panthers in the clinching game against Carolina, had a great Stanley Cup final last year against Edmonton. You look at how they remade the fourth line, how they remade that bottom third pair again. I was worried about how they were going to do that after last year when Kevin Stenlund gets paid his money and Ryan Lomberg gets paid his money. Brandon Montour's gone and Ekman Larsson's gone and all these guys. And what do? Bring in great fits for minimal money because that's all they have. And it just fits together so well. And the culture that they've built here is so good. And it's all of that. Like, you know, I saw somebody point this out, but, you know, I love the trajectory of Sam Bennett's career. He goes from the combine, his draft year, not being able to do a single pull-up, to being shuffled down to the 4th line in Calgary after he was a top 5 pick there, to getting traded here to Florida. They elevate his role. And now the guy who couldn't do a pull-up at the scouting combine his draft year is viewed upon as one of the best playoff performers in the league and someone who instills a lot of fear in the opponent, so much so to the point that there are people talking about him getting $9-10 million if he leaves the Panthers after this season. Those reclamation projects that they've done here, phenomenal. And again, we talked earlier about how Alexander Barkov has been such a perfect leader for this room. He's been here over a decade. And that personality, whether you want to think there is one or not, at least publicly, it creates such a great fit for everybody to come in here and feel like they are part of it. And, you know, I've always been someone who kind of overlooked team chemistry, but there have been a lot of teams over the years in a lot of different places that have a lot of talent and don't win. And this Panther team, not only are they the most talented Florida Panthers team in the history of the club, they are also the best, and it's because all the personalities fit together.
And Paul Maurice too, right? I mean, that's
100%.
the perfect personality.
Pushes all the right buttons.
I've always said, you know, with the Heat Big Three, because we've seen super teams come together before, and they don't always thrive. In fact, I would say probably more often than not, they don't thrive. And I've always pointed out that Erik Spoelstra, in my opinion, was so perfectly suited for the Big Three when the Heat were here. You're essentially saying you could assemble this kind of talent. But if Paul Maurice isn't the head coach, and by the way, he wasn't at one point, they won the President's Trophy, but if he's not the head coach and they're not playing Paul ball, maybe they're not going to 3 straight Stanley Cup Finals.
I think that is very likely. Maybe they catch lightning in a bottle and they make a run there, but I think it's pretty clear that the way they were playing with Andrew Brunette, that style was not one that was going to lend them to getting far. I think we've seen that with a few teams in the postseason on both sides of the bracket. I know New Jersey was really hurt, but they played that same kind of run and gun style, the way that Washington plays, a hybrid style of that. Toronto, while they're talented and while they took the Panthers to a 7th game and they've kind of changed their game a little bit under Craig Berube, the style that you're watching the Panthers play, that's what wins. That's how the Lightning won. Colorado, I think, you know, when you have a player like Nathan McKinnon or you have a guy like Connor McDavid, you can probably just kind of suit to their game, because Colorado wasn't exactly a heavy forechecking team. They were a rush team, and they ended up winning it all. But Connor McDavid and the Oilers, They're a rush team, but they're also heavy, and they can play the way the Panthers do. I mean, Paul Maurice, best thing that happened to this franchise besides Bill Zito. Will we know?
Hawk, imagine if I would have told you. So after winning the President's Trophy, they're going to hit a full reset, trade their franchise leader in points, fire both coaches responsible for that season, and then hire a coach nobody thought could win a big game throughout his very long history as a hockey coach. They're going to end up being maybe the most dominant team in decades.
Yeah, it wouldn't have added up. Like it wouldn't
they
have
got
added
laughed
up.
at for that hire.
It seemed stupid. I remember Rob Pizzola being on with us that day. Now Pizzola's a lifelong hockey fan, has grown up in Toronto, and he's like, "Oh, retread. You guys just got someone who will never get you to the promised land." That was the prevailing notion. And everything Solana just laid out there, like that's the recipe. You never hit on all that. Never. Like all that, because that's not like, oh, we're going to make this tweak here. We're already really good. We're going to make this tweak. Like we're getting a new coach, a new style of play. We're trading away probably the most beloved guy on the roster in Jonathan Huberdeau. Like, yeah, they hit on everything.
You could count on one hand. I've said it before. Sorry, Solana, go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's the Knicks trading Jalen Brunson this year.
Or the Mavericks trading Luka and then going on and winning a title. Like it's just a trade that very rarely gets made, but certainly it's why the Luka trade was so. I mean, they went to the NBA Finals. The Panthers won the President's Trophy. People don't make giant trades after that. It's why it's so shocking.
You could count on one hand the amount of moves that Bill Zito has made that haven't worked out since he's gotten here. And that's insane because even the best of the best GMs don't hit at the rate that Bill Zito has.
And he's not trying to hit singles either.
No.
Like he's taking hacks.
But he can take hacks and hit home runs, and he can also move a guy over with a ground ball to the right side of the infield. Like he's got that in his bag. I love the analogies. But also though, like we talk about all these moves, I'm not sure that they have this run if Sergei Bobrovsky doesn't turn his play around as well. Now, granted, they play a style that is a little more defensive minded, so they're better in front of him, but he still had a lot to clean up to live up to that contract.
He was a disappointment.
Yes,
he was
100%.
a disappointment. I mean, people may not remember it, but because what number season is this for him with them?
I believe this is number 5 or 6.
5.
Yeah.
First 5.
2.5 seasons, we were like, wow, this guy's not worth that money.
Even in the President's Trophy year, remember how many comebacks they had? Down 4-1. There was one in New Jersey. I think they were down 6-2. Like they were playing a lot of those types of games, high scoring with Sergei Bobrovsky and winning despite some poor performances from him.
But that was the shtick. That was the shtick on our show, Hawk. Remember? Oh, Bob's in net. Bet the over.
Yep.
Literally. The guy
I think the over was up to 6.5 or 7.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, honestly, like he was, but they were always capable of coming back. Josh Appel, have a great weekend, Appel. We love having you on the show. You going to be anywhere this weekend? You doing any broadcasting coming up?
I've got 2 USL championship games on Saturday night. Jägermeister Cup.
Very exciting. There you go. Where can we watch you?
ESPN Plus, both games. It'll be Louisville City, Loudoun United at 6, and then a late
say Louisville when you're doing the broadcast?
That's how you say it. Louisville.
Yeah. I look cutesy.
Louisville City. And then we got Monterey Bay and Orange County.
Louisville. Regardless.
Louisville.
Josh Appel, we love you, and we'll talk to you next week, of course.
Thank you. Solana, can I get it one more, Christopher, before I go?
Christopher!
Thank you.
I mean, it's like nails on a chalkboard.